I never expected my own brother to betray me like this. My name is Jake. I'm 28, and for the past year, I've been helping my younger brother, Adam, 25, pay his rent. Not because I had to, but because I wanted to. Family is supposed to look out for each other, right? At least, that's what I thought. A little backstory, Adam has never been the most responsible person. Growing up, he was the golden child, the one my parents doted on while I was expected to fend for myself. If Adam got in trouble at school, it was somehow my fault for not looking out for him. If he broke something, I had to pitch in to replace it. He coasted through life, always finding someone to pick up the slack. And for a long time, that someone was me. When Adam moved out last year, he was thrilled. Finally, freedom, he'd said, as if he wasn't just going from being supported by our parents to being supported by me. He had a job, sure, but between nights out with friends, impulse purchases, and an inability to budget, he was always short on rent. And me? I had a stable job, a decent savings account, and a soft spot for my little brother. So when he called me one night in a panic, saying he was about to be evicted, I bailed him out. Just this once, I told myself. But, of course, it didn't stop there. Month after month, the calls continued. There was always an excuse. His paycheck was late, his hours got cut, he had an unexpected expense. And every time, I sent him money. $500 here, $700 there. Sometimes, he wouldn't even ask. He'd just text me his Venmo link. "Thanks, bro. You're the best," he'd say, like I was just handing him a favor instead of keeping him from being homeless. I knew I should have put my foot down, but every time I tried, he had a way of making me feel guilty. "It's just until I get back on my feet," he'd promise. "You know I'd do the same for you." That last part always got me, because deep down, I knew it wasn't true. Fast forward to this past Christmas. It had been a tough year for me. Work had been stressful, and financially, things were tighter than I'd like to admit. But I was still looking forward to spending the holidays with family. My parents had invited everyone over, and I even got Adam a nice gift, a new jacket he'd been eyeing but couldn't afford. I was expecting a nice, relaxing holiday. I should have known better. The moment I arrived, I could tell something was off. Adam barely acknowledged me. No, hey, thanks for coming. No, Merry Christmas, bro. Just a glance in my direction before he went back to joking with our cousins. I brushed it off. Maybe he was just in a bad mood. Dinner was when things really went downhill. We were all gathered around the table, passing plates of food, when my mom asked Adam how things were going. "Oh, you know," he said with a laugh. "Living my best life. Just moved into a new apartment, got some nice new furniture. Things are finally looking up." I nearly choked on my food. New apartment? New furniture? He hadn't mentioned any of this to me. And judging by the way he was talking, he hadn't just scraped by, he was doing well. I glanced at him, waiting for some kind of acknowledgement. Thanks to my brother for helping me out, or even a nod in my direction. Nothing. He didn't even look at me. "So, Adam," I said, keeping my tone light, "guess that means you're all set now, huh?" He frowned, confused. "What do you mean?" "I mean, you've been needing my help for rent every month, but now you're in a new place with new stuff." "That's great. So you're good now, right?" His expression darkened. He set down his fork, and suddenly, all eyes were on us. "Wow, Jake. Really? You just have to bring that up at dinner." I blinked. "I'm just saying, if you've got everything figured out, then I guess you won't need my help anymore." He let out a bitter laugh. "Dude, why are you acting like I owe you something? I thought family was supposed to help each other." I felt my stomach twist. The way he said it, like I was the selfish one. Like I hadn't been bending over backward for him all year. I could feel the heat rising in my face, but before I could respond, he rolled his eyes and muttered under his breath, "You ruin everything. Just leave." The table fell silent. My mom gasped. My dad cleared his throat uncomfortably. And me? I felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. I stared at him, waiting for him to take it back, to realize what he had just said. But he didn't. He just picked up his fork and kept eating, as if I was nothing. I pushed my chair back and stood up. "You know what? Merry Christmas, everyone." My voice was steady, but my hands were shaking. "Enjoy the rest of your night." I grabbed my coat and walked out. No one stopped me. No one called after me. And as I stepped outside into the cold December air, I realized something Adam was never going to change. I had spent a year helping him, supporting him, thinking that one day he'd appreciate it. But he never would, because in his mind, I wasn't his brother. I was just a safety net. I drove home in silence, my mind racing. Maybe this was a blessing in disguise. Maybe it was finally time to cut him off. But the next morning, my phone buzzed. Adam. I almost ignored it, but something in me needed to see what he had to say. I unlocked my phone and read the message. Hey man, can we talk? Please. I stared at the screen, my heart pounding, because I already knew what was coming next. I stared at the message for a long moment. Hey man, can we talk? Please. After everything that had happened the night before, my first instinct was to ignore it. But curiosity got the better of me. What did he want? An apology? Another handout? I sighed, running a hand through my hair before finally replying. Me, what is there to talk about? The dots appeared instantly. He had been waiting for me to respond. Adam, look, I messed up, okay? Just call me. I wasn't in the mood for a phone call, but I wanted to see what he had to say. So I responded with a simple, me? Text it. A full minute passed before his next message came through. Adam, I need your help, bro. I messed up bad. There it was. Not even an actual apology, just another problem he needed me to fix. I shook my head, already regretting engaging. Me. After what you said last night, you told me to leave, remember? That I ruin everything. Adam, I didn't mean that. I was just frustrated. You called me out in front of everyone. I let out a humorless laugh. He was frustrated? I was the one who had spent thousands on him this past year. Me. So you weren't frustrated enough to apologize, but now you need something, and suddenly you remember I exist? No response. I let him stew for a moment, then finally typed out, me. What do you want, Adam? He replied so fast I barely had time to put my phone down. Adam, I need $1,500. I actually laughed. Out loud. It was so absurd, so predictable, that I almost felt relieved. Of course, that was what this was about. Not regret. Not family. Just money. Me. You've got to be joking. Adam. Bro, I wouldn't ask if it wasn't serious. I just moved into my new place and bought all this stuff, and now my landlord is saying I owe a security deposit I didn't know about. If I don't pay it, I could get kicked out. I stared at the message, my jaw tightening. He had moved into a new apartment, one nicer than his last, bought new furniture, and somehow expected me to clean up the mess when he once again failed to budget. I thought about all the times I had bailed him out. The rent payments, the bills, the just this once transfers that had turned into a year of me being his personal ATM. And now, after telling me to get lost, he had the audacity to ask for more? I took a deep breath, my fingers hovering over the keyboard. Part of me wanted to give him a piece of my mind, to spell it out for him, to tell him just how badly he had burned this bridge. But something told me it wouldn't matter. Adam wasn't the type to reflect. He wasn't the type to learn from his mistakes. So instead, I simply typed, me, no, silence. The dots appeared, then vanished. Appeared again, then nothing. I sat back, exhaling slowly. Maybe this was finally it. The moment Adam realized I wasn't his safety net anymore. I went about my morning, ignoring my phone. A few hours passed, and then my mom called. I debated letting it go to voicemail, but I already knew why she was calling. I answered, hey mom. A pause. Then, Jake, why won't you help your brother? I closed my eyes, pinching the bridge of my nose. Of course. Mom, I said, keeping my voice even. Do you know how much money I've given Adam this past year? She hesitated. I know you've helped him, but $500 a month. Sometimes more. Thousands, Mom. And what has he done with it? Has he saved? Has he learned? No. He's moved into a nicer place, bought new furniture, and now he's calling me less than a day after insulting me to ask for even more. She sighed. I understand, but Jake, he's your brother. Family helps family. That phrase, family helps family. I had heard it my entire life, always when it benefited Adam. Never for me. So why is it only my job to help? I asked, my patience thinning. Where's Dad? Where's you? Why am I the only one expected to keep bailing him out? She hesitated. We don't have the extra money right now. Neither do I said firmly. And even if I did, I wouldn't give him a cent. Not after what he said. Not after the way he's treated me. Another pause. Then, more softly, he scared Jake. He's saying he might have to move back home if he loses his place. I let that sit for a second. So let him, I said. Maybe that's what he needs. She sighed again, clearly frustrated, but she didn't argue. Just think about it, okay? I already have, I said. And then, before she could guilt-trip me further, I added, I have to go. Love you, Mom. I hung up before she could respond. I sat there for a moment, staring at my phone. My heart was still racing, but for the first time in a long time, I felt free. Adam wasn't my responsibility anymore. And no matter how much he begged, no matter how much my parents tried to guilt me into it, I wasn't going to cave. But what I didn't know then, what I couldn't have predicted, was that Adam wasn't done yet. Because the next move he made, it changed everything. I didn't hear from Adam for the rest of the day. No texts, no calls, nothing. That should have been a relief, but instead, it made me uneasy. Adam never gave up that easily. I kept my phone close, half expecting another guilt trip message from my mom, but she stayed quiet too. Maybe she realized I wasn't budging this time. But then, the next morning, I woke up to a voicemail. Not from Adam, from my landlord. Hey, Jake. I just got a call from your brother. He said you gave him permission to sublet your apartment for a couple of months. I just wanted to confirm that with you before we proceed with anything. Give me a call back when you can. I sat up so fast I nearly dropped my phone. What? I replayed the message, convinced I had misheard. But no, my landlord had just said what I thought he said. Adam had called him, trying to sublet my apartment, without my permission. I didn't even waste time texting. I called Adam immediately. It rang 4 times before he answered, his voice groggy. Hello? What are you doing? I snapped. A pause. Jake? Why are you yelling? I swung my legs out of bed, already pacing. Don't play dumb. Why did you call my landlord? Silence. Then, oh, that. I actually had to take a deep breath to keep my anger in check. Yeah, that. Explain. Now. Adam let out a long sigh, like I was the one being difficult. Look, man, I'm in a bad spot, okay? I figured since you don't use your apartment that much. What? I practically shouted. I live here. Adam. Yeah, but you travel for work sometimes, he said quickly, like that somehow justified it. I thought maybe I could crash there for a couple of months, just until I figure things out. I was going to ask you, but you didn't seem open to talking, so I just, went around you. I was so stunned I actually sat back down. You lied to my landlord, I said, my voice low and deadly. Technically, I didn't lie, he argued. I was going to ask you. Oh, shut up, Adam, I snapped. You're unbelievable. I say no to giving you money, so your next move is to try and steal my home. Steal is a strong word. I hung up. Because if I didn't, I was going to say something I'd regret. I sat there, gripping my phone so tightly my knuckles turned white. My pulse was pounding in my ears, my whole body thrumming with rage. This wasn't just entitled behavior. This wasn't just another instance of Adam being selfish. This was insane. And it wasn't over. Because within minutes, my mom was calling. I knew exactly what was coming. I let it ring. Then I silenced it. Then I turned my phone off completely. I needed to think. Because Adam had just crossed a line, and I wasn't going to let him get away with it. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my nerves. This wasn't just some petty argument anymore. Adam had gone behind my back, tried to manipulate my landlord, and now, no doubt, was sending Mom after me to clean up his mess. But I wasn't playing that game anymore. I turned my phone back on an hour later, already expecting the flood of messages. I was right. Mom. Jake, call me now. Mom, I just talked to Adam. He said you hung up on him. Why are you being so cruel to your own brother? Mom, ignoring me isn't going to make this go away. We need to talk. I rolled my eyes. We didn't need to do anything. Adam had made this mess. He could deal with it himself. But then I saw another text, one that made me angry. Adam texted, Dude, you're being so dramatic. I just needed a place to stay for a bit, and I figured your apartment would work since it's bigger. Not my fault you're so selfish. He actually called me selfish. Me, the guy who had paid his rent for a year. The guy who had been there every single time he needed help. I clenched my jaw, my mind racing. Adam wasn't sorry. He wasn't even pretending to be. In his mind, I was the bad guy here. And that's when I realized I was done. Completely, utterly done. I wasn't just going to ignore him. I was going to make sure he finally learned his lesson. I grabbed my phone and called my landlord back. He picked up on the second ring. Hey, Jake. I was hoping you'd call. Yeah, listen, I said, keeping my voice calm. About that whole thing with my brother? He lied. I never gave him permission to sublet my apartment. He's not staying here. Not now, not ever. If he tries to contact you again, just ignore him. There was a pause. Yeah, I figured something was off. He was acting kinda sketchy. That's putting it mildly, I muttered. Sorry he even dragged you into this. No worries. Just glad I checked with you first. We hung up, and I exhaled slowly. That was one problem handled. But I wasn't done yet. I had one more call to make. I scrolled through my contacts until I found the number I hadn't dialed in years. My uncle. Uncle Dan wasn't just family. He was a lawyer. And not just any lawyer. A good one. If Adam wanted to play dirty, fine. But he was about to find out what happens when you push the wrong person too far. I hit call. The line rang twice before he picked up. Jake? Wow, haven't heard from you in a while. What's up? I took a deep breath. Hey, Uncle Dan. I need some legal advice about my brother. The silence on the other end stretched for a beat. Then, oh boy, he said. This ought to be good. And it was. Because Adam had no idea what was coming next. Uncle Dan listened as I laid everything out, the rent, the entitlement, the Thanksgiving disaster, and now the blatant attempt to lie to my landlord and steal my apartment. When I finished, he let out a low whistle. Wow, your brother's got some nerve. Yeah, tell me about it, I muttered. So what exactly do you want to do here? He asked. Because legally, Adam didn't actually commit a crime. He didn't forge your signature or break into your apartment. But if he keeps pushing, that could change. I ran a hand through my hair. I don't know yet. I want to make sure he can't pull anything like this again. I need something to shut him down completely. Uncle Dan hummed thoughtfully. Well, first off, I'd put your landlord on high alert. Tell him explicitly that Adam is never allowed to enter your apartment, even if he somehow gets a copy of your key. That way, if Adam tries anything, your landlord can treat it as trespassing. Good idea, I said. I'll handle that today. And if Adam does something really stupid, like trying to break in? Uncle Dan continued. Call the cops immediately. No warnings, no second chances. People like him don't stop unless they face real consequences. I exhaled slowly. He was right. I'd spent my whole life giving Adam warnings, second chances, bailouts. And every time, he pushed further. Not anymore. I'll keep that in mind, I said. Thanks, Uncle Dan. I appreciate it. Anytime, kid, he said. And hey, don't let your mom guilt you into anything. I know how she is. I scoffed. Yeah, me too. We hung up, and I immediately texted my landlord to reinforce what I'd already said. Hey, just to be clear, Adam is never allowed in my apartment, under any circumstances. If he shows up or tries anything, let me know immediately. Landlord, got it. Don't worry, I won't even open the door for him. That was a relief. At least now, I had a safety net. But Adam still wasn't done, because 2 hours later, I got another text from an unknown number. Unknown. Jake, please just hear me out. I stared at it. I knew it was Adam. He must have realized I blocked him. I ignored it. 5 minutes later, another text. Unknown. I'm sorry, okay? I messed up. Just talk to me. I almost laughed at how fast he'd switched from arrogance to desperation. But I still didn't respond. Then, the next message made my stomach drop. Unknown. Mom says she's coming over to talk to you. Just a heads up. I shot up from my chair. No way. Not 5 minutes later, there was a knock at my door. A sharp, impatient knock. I took a deep breath and opened it. There she was. My mother. Standing in the hallway, arms crossed, looking like she was personally offended that I had made her come all this way. We need to talk, she said, pushing past me into the apartment. I didn't stop her. Because for the first time in my life, I was ready to have this fight. And I wasn't going to hold back. I closed the door behind my mom and turned to face her. She stood in the middle of my living room, arms still crossed, scanning the apartment like she was gathering ammunition. You've been ignoring me, she said, her tone sharp. I've been busy, I replied, keeping my voice level. She scoffed. Too busy to deal with your own family? Too busy to answer when your brother is in crisis. I let out a short laugh. A crisis he created. And let's be honest, Mom, this isn't about Adam being in trouble. This is about you trying to clean up his mess again. Her lips pressed into a thin line. He's your brother, Jake. You don't just abandon family over one mistake. One mistake. I repeated, my voice rising. Are you serious? This isn't just about Thanksgiving. This isn't just about him trying to take my apartment. This is about years of him using me, of me paying for his life while he insults me behind my back. And you always take his side. Because he needs help, she snapped. You've always had your life together, Jake. You've always been responsible. But Adam, he's struggling. And a good brother would help instead of punishing him for it. I took a deep breath, my hands balling into fists at my sides. You know what, Mom? You're right, I said. I am responsible. And Adam? He's never had to be. Because every time he messes up, you come running to fix it. And when you can't, you throw it on to me. That's not. Yes, it is. I cut her off. And I'm done. I'm done paying for him. I'm done letting him insult me. I'm done pretending this is okay just because he's family. She was silent, staring at me, like she couldn't believe I was finally standing my ground. So what now? She said after a long pause. You're just going to cut us off? I exhaled, steadying myself. No, Mom. I'm setting boundaries. And if you or Adam can't respect that, then yeah, maybe I do need to walk away. Her expression faltered. I could see the wheels turning in her head, realizing that this time, I wasn't bluffing. She inhaled sharply, composing herself. Well, if that's how you feel, it is. She nodded once, stiffly, then turned for the door. She didn't say goodbye, and I didn't stop her. Over the next few days, I ignored Adam's continued texts and calls. At first, he kept trying to guilt me. You're really gonna throw away our relationship over this. But when that didn't work, he switched tactics. You think you're so much better than me, don't you? I blocked the number. And that was it. For the first time in my life, I had peace. No more stress about covering his rent. No more constant guilt tripping from Mom. No more feeling like I was obligated to clean up someone else's mess. And the best part? I didn't regret it. Not even for a second.